Any moment now, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer set to visit the White House for a high-stakes sit-down with President Donald Trump. The two will hold what we understand is going to be a closed-door lunch before facing reporters for a news conference a little later today. This will be the UK leader's first time sitting with the president at the White House, but it's really not their first face-to-face meeting. Starmer and Trump held a 2-hour dinner at Trump Tower in the Big Apple back in September. At the time, Starmer's team described the president as a gracious host. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer joins us now from London. Elizabeth, we do know this. We are both grown-ups. These are not social occasions. So it really begs the question, what does Mr. Starmer want? What do you anticipate Mr. Trump wants?
Well, Mr. Starmer is going to be very keen not to antagonize the president. The last thing he wants is for President Trump to suddenly think it would be a good idea to impose tariffs on British products or otherwise attack the trading relationship, which is very important to the UK. But he does have something serious he wants to talk about, and that's Ukraine. He, in his public statements, has disagreed with what President Trump has said on 3 main issues. First of all, Starmer says Putin started the war. There's only one aggressor here, that's Russia. Secondly, President Zelensky is not a dictator, but a democratically elected leader with legitimacy from voters. And thirdly, Ukraine has to be at the table in any ceasefire or peace negotiations. We don't know if he's going to say any of these things today to President Trump, but apparently he is going to push for a U.S. military role in a post-war Ukraine, specifically what he's calling a security backstop. He was asked what that means. He's refused to define it. But he is on record as saying the UK would send peacekeepers to Ukraine. Likely other European countries would too. So, for example, he might push President Trump to commit resources to support such a mission with intelligence, maybe air power, something like that. As for what President Trump wants, maybe we'll have a better idea at the press conference. At the moment, that's a bit of a mystery.
Well, and just to orient our viewers to what they're seeing, it looks like you and I may be live and streaming coast to coast and worldwide when this happens. What you're seeing right there on your screen while we have this conversation are all of the flags coming out there. We are anticipating the Prime Minister's car will circle there any moment, and we will see what we've seen with other world leaders come in, get that handshake, that photo op. So while we have this conversation, just wanted to let our viewers know what we're seeing right there. Another question, how much of a surprise was Starmer's announcement this week that Britain would cut its foreign aid budget in order to boost defense spending? Because we know that is one thing that President Trump wants.
Look, it was and it wasn't a surprise. After Vice President Vance's speech in Munich made it clear that the U.S. was going to step back from that post-war role of guaranteeing Europe's security, all European governments and the UK have been scrambling to come up with plans to stand up a more robust military in Europe, and it's going to cost money. So Britons were expecting to see that bill anytime soon. But the timing of the announcement this week has Starmer's critics saying he's pandering to President Trump. And that is likely to antagonize voters on this side of the Atlantic.
Well, we know you're out getting your coffee, your London fog, or maybe your PG tips and seeing the headlines, seeing the papers on stands. Overall, as somebody who is there where that side of the story is playing out, what is the mood of the people there where you are reporting live from about this administration and about the conversations between this administration relative to all things Russia, all things France, all things the UK?
Britons, on the whole, are not keen on President Trump and this administration. They feel attacked by President Trump, and I think they lament what looks to them to be the end of rule of law in America, or at least it being eroded. So on the one hand, there's disapproval, but underneath there's a current of fear that Britain and Europe will be targeted by the Trump administration. That being said, there is a rising right wing in this country, and they will be quite pleased to have some of the things, for example, their anti-immigrant agenda backed up, if you like, by echoes on the other side of the Atlantic. But at the moment, they're in the minority. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister. He's from a left-wing party. And so you're seeing a country that voted left looking at its old neighbor and friend and ally, the United States, going radically right. And there's a lot of disquiet.
All right.